I realized, it's so important to focus on what you're good at. First of all, to figure out what you're good at, and then not be afraid to do that. And I think we all have such a tendency, maybe it's just ingrained in us in school, not necessarily college, but before, where you're failing this, you're not doing well in that, and you work and you struggle, and you get to a certain age or a certain experience, realize, I'm never going to be good at that. I could spend an awful lot of time trying to become better at this or that, but I am good at this. Let me focus my efforts there. And in my case, with classical action, I was pretty good at bringing people together, had contacts in the performing arts world. I was a horrible businessman. That's why I feel like it's such a fraud up here. I mean, you give me a spreadsheet, I can do it. I've learned how to do it, but I hated it. I hated sort of, doing audits and all this kind of stuff. So I would surround myself, luckily, with people who were really good at that and sort of complementary skills and colleagues. But being able to do what you do and make that work is a really important thing. And as you were saying, that could be anything. The risk factor, there does have to, I remember people telling me, well, how do you know that classical action is going to work? I said, well, I don't know that it's going to work. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of my life. I'll do something else. I want to give it a try. Goodness knows, I had no idea whether this management thing would work. And there's no way I could prove it. I had no master plan. It was going to say in 5 years I'll be here, and in 10 years I'll be there. And I mean, if you told me when I moved to New York that I'd be managing Joshua Bell and Itzhak Perlman, I would have laughed you off the stage. I didn't. But I was trying to explain to someone the other day, if I started here and ended here, I didn't do this. I sort of crawled all the way. And by the time you get to wherever that is, you've gotten there because you've taken all those little steps. So in my case, I guess it's most about taking risks, not being afraid to take a risk, and knowing that if the risk doesn't work, well, that's not the end of the world, And I'll just finish with one more thing. It occurred to me as you were talking that I was asked to speak at Juilliard a number of years ago when I was still a manager, and they had explained that I'd played the piano and the cello quite actively, and then pretty much gave it up to go in this new world. And one of the kids said, well, he didn't mean this in an insulting way. He was just curious. He said, well, don't you feel that all those hours and hours and hours that you practice and rehearse and perform are kind of wasted? I said, no, I think just the opposite. I really value all those hours that I spent practicing and rehearsing and learning repertoire because it's part of my world. It's not actively part of my world. I'm not performing now. But it gives me and the same thing with teaching. I think whatever skills I had as a teacher were immensely helpful in just getting to know people and relate to people. So you just sort of find your way, and it's amazing where that can lead. And especially when you start making contacts with people and colleagues, and you realize what a community there is out there if you're willing to be part of it. So we can do anything if we set our minds to it, I guess.